I wanted to talk to you today about what you need to know about your car insurance policy before you have an accident or some kind of situation. So what this is you're looking at what's called a declarations page. And so a declarations page, you'll see it has a lot of numbers on it. Your policy, maybe from a different company, might look different. It's a very general one from Geico. And so we're looking at here, it'll have the date issued, the time of your coverage, the policy number, etc., and your name and information. Now, if there's more than one person in the house, you should have them on the policy if they're in the house and they live there. But like your minor children generally are covered as well. Here's what there will be listed: your vehicles, or if you just have one vehicle. We'll talk about that in just a second. But here's the important part to know. So we're talking about bodily injury, liability here. And that's the first thing. What that coverage does is it protects the other people. So this is a pretty good policy. In New Mexico, the minimums are $25,000, $50,000. And so right here, the 250, 500 is what their policy is. So if they're at fault, this driver, that is the amount their insurance will pay to protect them in case any claim is brought against them. So that liability is what you pay to protect other people. Property damage liability is the same. In New Mexico, the minimums are $10,000, and this person has a heightened standard of it. Usually it's not that much more expensive to increase, and I'll tell you why it's important to increase. So property damage liability, right, that covers property damage. So if you hit a very expensive car or a house or what have you. Medical payments are a no-fault policy, and what that is so after an accident, if you're hurt, and this is not whether or not you are at fault, you can submit medical bills to show you paid for medical treatment and get that amount, up to that amount, back. So if you have medical bills of $1,000, now this is what will happen is certain hospitals or providers will submit, if they get your insurance information, will submit to insurance and get that MedPay maybe even before you're aware of it. So just something to be aware of. Now this is the one that is the most important to know and that people, I think, confuse a lot and mess up. The reason this is so important, this is what protects you, right? New Mexico is one of the highest states as it relates to uninsured motorists. And so if you get hit by somebody who doesn't have insurance and you're allowed to, now you technically have to keep 25,000, 50,000 minimums of this policy, and this is heightened, but you can waive uninsured, underinsured in New Mexico. You should never do that. In the very least, if you can't do anything else, get the minimums, right? You should have some kind of coverage. The concern, though, is if you have no coverage and the other driver has no coverage, and unless they're a millionaire driving around with no coverage, you have nothing to protect you. And so it's super important to be in a position that you can protect yourself. That's why this is the most important insurance. Now, your most insurance policies will not be the difference between these two. You cannot have a bodily injury liability that is that is lower than your uninsured, right? So you have to insure everyone else at the same level as you. You can insure yourself for less. I just wouldn't advise it because why would you it's usually not much more to increase it, but why would you protect other people more than you would protect yourself? The next thing too is property damage, right? This is uninsured, underinsured. Oh, let me go back. Uninsured, underinsured effectively means, so if you're hit by an uninsured or a person who's underinsured. So if this person gets hit by somebody with an insurance for $100,000, they still have about $150,000, totally depending on circumstances, and that's where you get a good and competent insurance attorney like myself to come in. But you at least know you have $250,000 in coverage. The other person's insurance can come into play, and that's the same for the property damage. So if you have a nice car, your car gets hit, or frankly, if you're a property, what have you, this protects a number of things. So if you have that happen to you, what'll happen is you can get that car covered even if the other driver doesn't have insurance, right? Again, a great thing to protect if your auto is important to you. Comprehensive and collision really cover what happens in the accident. Those are all generally through your insurance company, pretty straightforward. The deductible is just the amount you have to pay, or frankly, if they're giving you money, they'll just reduce it by that $500. Emergency roadside services, tire, battery jump, gas if you need it. Those are little things that are helpful to have. You probably get it through a number of different services. And the last one is this rental reimbursement. It's important to have. So if you get hit in an accident and the other driver, right, you don't have their insurance and you don't have the police report for a number of days, it's really good to have this because you can go get a rental they'll cut it short and you can always negotiate this, but what'll happen is the car insurance company will want to, they can get you in a car and your company will get you in a car. It's possible to get that from the other driver, but it's better to have this because that'll take a lot longer from the other driver's insurance. This at least protects you for a period of time. We see what happens with your automobile. Now, this is all for one car. Let me talk about what's called stacking. And if you don't remember anything else in this video, it's that I want to have heightened, uninsured, and underinsured. You want to stack your policy. What stacking is effectively if you have one car, you can't stack. There's nothing to stack. But if you have like 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars, you want to stack. And what that is you effectively pay for the same insurance on car 1, car 2, and then if you get hit, now so the liability only applies to one person, so you still only pay that 250, or your insurance will. But the uninsured and underinsured stacks on top of each other. So if you're in a very severe accident and you have 3 cars, well, this 250 would triple, and you have coverage up to 750. So there are options. Your insurance might ask you to reject uninsured, underinsured. They might ask you to. They'll show you prices where it's cheaper to not have it. I highly advise that you don't do that because that is the thing that you are paying for that protects you. Hopefully this video is helpful to you. Have a great day.